Hey everyone, I'm Ian St. Clair, the lead writer at playcolorado.com. Over the last year, you've seen me talk about a lot of wins when it comes to the first year of sports betting in this state. There's excitement over where we've been, there's excitement over where we're going. And in a sense, the market still has that new car smell. But there is one potential speed bump that could derail this whole journey if we don't do something about it right now. And that's responsible gambling. For all that Colorado does right when it comes to sports betting, responsible gaming is where it falls short. And according to Keith White, who's the executive director for the National Council on Problem Gambling, it's something that lacks in a severe way. Over the last couple of months, I've written about a couple of surveys that show how the state is lacking and how it could become a potential problem. The first one was about students and student athletes being more susceptible to addiction and thus problem gambling. In a survey that the National Council on Problem Gambling did, they did a survey of 28,000 people, including 500 people in Colorado. They asked a series of problematic play indicators in this huge national survey, and 19% of 18 to 24-year-olds, by far the highest of any age group, reported they answered many times to at least one indicator of problematic play. So what are those questions? What are the indicators for problematic play according to this survey? Needing to gamble more and more to get that same feeling of excitement, relying on others to pay their debts or bills, lying to hide their gambling, or feeling restless or irritable when they try and quit or cut down. So 19% of people between the ages of 18 and 24 on this huge national survey answered yes to at least one of these questions many times. Now let's look at some of the other age groups in this survey to get an idea of why that could be a problem. The next highest age group in this study was 25 to 34, with 12% saying yes many times to at least one of those questions. Then the other was 55 to 64, and it was around 2%. The reason that this is an issue is because the University of Colorado and PointsBet have a controversial sports betting deal. It's a 5-year deal, and we're going to see for the first time when Folsom Field is opened up to full fan capacity for the September 3rd game against the University of Northern Colorado, the implementation of this deal for the first time. There's going to be signage across Folsom Field, so it's going to be targeting people to get them into the sports betting app. What Keith White, the executive director for the National Council on Problem Gambling, wants to do is have the university and PointsBet set the path for how to do these kinds of deals, because it's not going to be the last one. So what can they do? The two entities in this, the University of Colorado and PointsBet, need to educate the students. One of the problems that they have is that this marketing is going to be going to people who aren't of the legal age of gambling in Colorado, which is 21. So there needs to be literacy. It's all about gambling literacy. And this leads into the second survey that I have focused on at another story at Play Colorado. In this survey, the Colorado Gambling Compliance looked at 9 essential elements for responsible gambling and regulation. As a comparison, New Jersey had 9 of 9. Colorado had either 4 or 5, according to Keith White. Now, let's look at the funding for responsible gambling measures. Colorado puts forth $400,000 for the entire state. Prior to sports betting launching last May, it was $200,000. So they've merely doubled the funding for responsible gambling. That includes a much larger pool of gamblers. If this isn't corrected, Keith White says that it could lead to big problems down the road if it's not corrected. The good news is that it can be. And the good news is that the University of Colorado and PointsBet can lead the way on these deals. And that's why I'm talking about it. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not a win. But it's something that could prevent future problems if it's tackled now. And I think that's why it's important to have this discussion, to bring up these potential pitfalls, to show that 18 to 24-year-olds are more susceptible to addiction and thus problem gambling, and that the state, for all that it does right, fails in this potential problem. The good news, as Keith White said, is that it can be fixed. There are licenses that come up that you can include more for operators to do. You can add to the measures that you have for responsible gambling. If you look at New Jersey, and Colorado should do that. In terms of this deal with PointsBet, between CU and the operator. Put a focus on education. Help the students get an idea of gambling and talking about it, and tell them that it's not a way to make money. Because that's another issue that comes up out of this survey. 16% of people say it's a good way to make money. Sports betting, a good way to make money. That is not the case, and it shouldn't be how people think. 11% say their chances of winning get better after they've lost. 10% say if they gamble more often, it will help them win more than they lose. So it's all about gambling literacy. It's about informing. It's about education. It's about talking about it. And that's, again, why we're doing this video right now. The best place to start is by having the discussion. If you want to avoid a bigger problem in the future, which is what Keith White and the National Council on Problem Gambling want, it's what all of us want, is to get in front of it while the industry still has the chance, while regulators still have the chance. Instead of reacting to a problem, aggressively work to prevent it. Gambling is a game of chance, but problem gambling shouldn't be.